Okay, so these shortcut patterns just brute force. We're actually going into this before we should, but get your feet wet with these guys. They look similar to some of the patterns that we already know. New short patterns for shortcut to B and E strings. Then pattern returns to same starting shape. Kind of, but definitely it does. It's just that we're always going to have the same shape on the top and bottom string, right? So if we do a C diatonic, right there's the same C shape on the bottom and the top, or the bottom and the top, whatever you want to call it. It's the same string. The only difference is in string shape theory that I use is when we go down one string, let's just talk about pitch. So we're going down one string, we're going down a fourth, okay, string wise. But when it goes down, it's also down a fourth in string shapes, right? Actually, in strings, it's going down a fifth. Okay, so when we go, let's say we're doing C here to F there, that's a fourth. But going the other way is F to C is a fifth. Okay, so C is the fifth of F, F is the fourth of C. So when we play this string shape here, C, 3, 4, 5, the string shape below that is going to be its fourth, which is the E string shape in string shape theory that I do. Okay, so remember, C always goes to E and E always goes to C. That's an easy rule of thumb in string shapes. Okay. So this is always going to occur on the G string. All right, I had to get my vest off for a minute. These short patterns only occur on the G string when you are playing long patterns from the fretnut capo and you wish to do all the strings as open strings. So I saw this really good video yesterday, and the guy was doing like cross picking, he called it. That got me thinking. I feel a little guilty that my patterns that I use, the long patterns, just to get away from that fretnut, and I'll get away from it just one string. So let's say we have our fretnut here on the E here. Okay, I'll play like a just one string of a long pattern like that, say root 2, 3, and then just take it, slide it right into a D shape. So it'll be what's going to be on the bottom. We started on a root, which is an E shape that goes to a D shape on top. You go to the next cage shape up when you finish the long pattern, just to get away from that fretnut. But then I thought, well, being way up here, so hey, why don't I just start the whole pattern? Let's say we want to do it in F, right? So we want to do an F root pattern. Normally, that would be the long pattern goes root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 root. Okay, now we've gone from this E shape here, because remember, E is root, root. Okay, G's down here, E's here. The next one's going to be D. So why not just start it on why not just play right into a D pattern? Okay, and it's because we're not playing these notes here. We're missing these open notes when we go right into that D pattern. Let's try that one more time. See, we're not playing these two notes here, this C and this F. We're missing out. That's why I adjusted the pattern. We're going to adjust the pattern so we can get those guys. And guess what? It's even easier. Yes, when you can play all open strings, I was afraid of this. It's even easier. So remember, where there's no fret nut in sight, okay, no fret nut, nothing. We're up here. We're soloing in the middle of the play zone. Okay, so we got, let's say, an E pattern we're doing. All right, there's no worries. We can play up here. There's no open string to worry about. So the patterns are not going to change. We're going to just shortcut out of the string shape, which could be long or short, and we're going to shortcut out to the next string up, which will be the B string. So this all occurs between the G and the B string. Remember, the G and the B string are in its entirety. Okay, you can down tune your guitar. You know, the way I do it is I'll down tune it as long as I label these notes properly. Okay, so I down tune it to C. This pitch is labeled as E. It just gives me this much more guitar, this much less, right? So let's see what we got here. Okay, so let's slow down and get right into it here. So what's this? Let's just read through this. When using the long patterns at the fretnut capo and implementing the shortcut, we're going to talk about the shortcut, but the shortcut just means do these patterns and then don't finish them as usual. So we implement the shortcut from the G string. This returns you to the bass pattern fifth. That is the string shape below the first string shape from the bottom. So let's say we're, once again, here's your C string shape, short pattern. Here's your C string shape. The string below it is going to be the fourth of that C. Okay, and in the circle of string shapes, which I didn't put there. So with the circle of string shapes here, if C's on the top, the string below it is going to be the fourth of it, which is E, the E string shape. Maybe I'm not making that convincing of an argument today, but sometimes I do it and then I feel like I'm not getting my point across, but if we keep at it, we get the point across. I noticed that when I watch it, say, later on, just to make sure everything went off smoothly. That is the string shape below. Okay, so the string shape below the top string, okay, the highest pitch string is going to be, which is the E, top high E string, is going to be the fifth of the low E string. Always. So we're pretty much returning to the bass pattern after cutting out on the shortcut onto the same bass string shape you started with. Top and bottom strings are the same. Okay, so we're kind of getting used to this jargon here. This is what it boils down to. Before we, I know I'm keeping this stuff from us. So this is where you're going to learn it, but this is where you're going to go, oh my gosh, what the heck? Not enough. A partial pattern? Impossible. That's what I said for the past 3 years. And I finally gave in and said, this is too good. We have to play these open strings. So we can't just play away from that string shape. We can't just do that because we're losing these two open strings. So what we're going to do is, let's say we're playing in the root pattern. This is going to be the root pattern. Instead of going root 2, 3, where we would do that,